grow up and move away. They close the plant, then the mall arcade. Kids are sad, their parents too. Kids get high in the spare bedroom. We grow up and move away. The seasons pass, but the monsters stay. Outside, the sky is blue. There are monsters in the spare bedroom. Kids grow up and move away. They close the plant, then the mall arcade. Kids are sad, their parents too. Kids get high in the spare bedroom. We grow up and move away. The seasons pass, but the monsters stay. Kids are sad, the sky is blue. There are monsters in the spare bedroom. Kids grow up and move away. They close the plant in the mall arcade. Kids are sad, the parents too. Kids get high in the spare bedroom. We grow up and move away. Seasons pass, but the monsters stay.
It's back. We're on the Awake Souls channel. Oh, the camera over there. We're back, bro. How you doing? It's Friday.
I'm doing well, bro.
Oh, I think you've muted. So, in honor of Jason's channel, I threw the old school, the Limitless Channel on tonight for everybody. And it also says Christian Simulation down here. I don't know. You guys probably can't see that. I don't know if you guys can. Christian Simulation. Because tonight we're going to be showing just that we are in this supernatural realm / simulation. Are you able to talk now, bro?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good now. Go ahead.
All right, yeah. So, yeah, I'm excited tonight. We're going to be going through a bunch of great simulation stuff. Whole bunch to talk about. We got started on this topic the other night, and it was all chaotic because there was a whole bunch of Adam fans that were getting triggered by what was going down. And we want to talk about that in a slow, calm demeanor tonight, where we start going over the details, like, why would these two guys stand up and say the things that they did? Is even to take the position where we're coming at it sort of mockingly and stuff like that. So we want to address all that. We want to put it on the table, explain our positions. We're going to be going through some proofs tonight that they're proofs. They're not, this is I believe or whatever like that. We're going to be going through proofs, and there's a group of people from Adam's channel that I'd like to say something to, that I know our approach. Like the fact that we came in dogmatically and doing the strong call out. A lot of people probably don't know the history. They don't know that we've been calling out Adam since 2017 or something like that. And it's been over this AE map and model. So there's a history to be explained and all that kind of stuff that we want to get out there. There are some core fundamental truths that I know that once you are exposed to them, you're now going to be put in a decision-making place where you're going to have to also decide whether or not Adam Fink is a person that's truly trying to steer you towards the truth, or he could be a roadblock or a gate to you. So we want to go through all that kind of stuff. We want to be super interactive with the chat. We want to sort of follow your lead. We want to make sure that as we're going through these points, we're not doing it too quick or in a way that it's not being comprehended. So if questions come in, we want to be able to go back, do the rewind. We'll take a pace that I hope that the entire class is going to understand things completely as we move step by step through this process.
You know, all those wonderful words, and yet you didn't give me any attention about the shirt, bro. Like, where's the Awake Souls shirt gone?
I'm sorry. I had this crazy allergy attack during the intro song.
Oh, no.
And I was just sneezing. I'm all stuffed up right now. I'm just sort of like trying to break through it right now. So I'm like head in the cloud, but trying to get home some important points, because in an intro like this, we want to sort of outline what it is. What's the agenda? What's the agenda of the topic tonight? Like the title, Imploding Your View of Reality, Simulation Denier, Adam Fink Exposed with Simulation Proof. So we've got things, we're going to talk about implosions. We're going to talk about all these major, deep truths that so many other platforms, they don't even touch upon. But we go there. And we want everybody to know, and we're not monetized, and we don't ask for donations and none of that kind of stuff. We just want people to know and grasp the truth. And so implosions are a big topic regarding what's going on right now with Adam and his channel, because he brought up the AE map and model and tried to connect it to the true biblical calendar. So there's an implosion that's taking place there. Simulation deniers. Like I put up a video earlier today of a sunrise, and you have guys like Adam Fink who are promoting the Freemason New World Order AE map and model, which is, it's the one that you see on the UN flag, United Nations, New World Order, right? That model right there has a single polar point. where the sun, moon, and stars do a rotation around a single polar point. I've had people come in and say, well, he said that the map's not totally correct, or he doesn't know if it's totally correct. And we've said it doesn't matter if the map is correct or not. Just the notion that the sun, moon, and stars are doing circles around a single polar point 3,000 miles up is what we've been debunking the entire time we've been working together, right?
That's correct. I don't know if it was the Zeticism that were the ones that came out with the measurement of the sun being 3,000 miles up, but I know that Eric Dubé, the whole host of people were the ones that got right behind the fact that the sun was 3,000 miles up. And that's what they all promoted. The whole entire FE movement all promoted this nonsense. And there was me and Jason saying, uh-oh, we've got a bit of a problem here with the 3,000 mile up thing, because those clouds right there, they're not 3,000 miles up. Well,
let me tell you where the 3,000 miles comes up, because I want everybody to go test this for themselves. So one of the basics that you understand is that if you're looking at a 45-degree altitude, so you're 45 degrees north of the equator, and you look 45 degrees up, and then you go 45 degrees south of the equator and you look 45 degrees up, you look at for where those two lines intersect themselves over the equator, and then you measure the distances between those north and south locations, and then through triangulation you can figure out, right, the height. And so triangulation tells us 3,000 miles up. And so anybody can do the math on that. Anybody that believes in the AE Mappa model, if you ask them how high the sun and the moon are, they have to tell you 3,000 miles up, for fear that you would do the trigonometry and actually find out through the calculation that it's 3,000 miles up. So that's the way that model is designed, and that is the answer.
So, there's all that, as well as, the moon and the sun and the distances to them, and what type of objects are they, right? If we're in a physical reality, everything's made of atoms, it's all solid, then those objects are going to be solid, right? They're going to have characteristics of solid objects, right? As well, we're going to be looking at shadows tonight. We're going to be looking at the moon. We're going to be looking at the sun. We're going to be looking at clouds. We've got lots of different things planned to go through, and it's just really important that you have an open mind, you ask questions, and you test this stuff for yourself. That's the most important thing, that you go out and repeat these things. Mikhail, the creator of the Flat Earth photography channel, who I'm going to be showcasing tonight, all the videos that I have prepared are from his channel. He was a hashtag Team membership person. I can't talk. He was with us. He was putting out amazing content, and he had a bit of a change, and he's doing different things now. But the stuff that he time-stamped, it's all there. It's there for us to share. It's there for us to promote. He blew the doors wide open on a lot of things. What stars really look like. The moon. The fact that when you see the moon with the daylight in the daytime, the blue sky actually becomes the moon. Where the parts of the moon are supposed to be is completely disappeared. You could almost say that the moon almost looks like it's floating in between two different realms. And the sky blue that we see in the sky, the blue, looks like it's like truncating the moon. And where that blue is, there's no moon. This would never be possible if we lived in an atomistic world where the moon was a solid rock. We can talk about the way that the light hits the moon. We can talk about so many different things, how it actually works. There's kind of like this toy that people used to have when I was a kid. They were called like glow bugs, and you'd like squeeze them and they would glow. What happens is as the moon goes through her cycle, and she traverses back and forth in between the tropics, just like the sun, she has a little bit extraordinary of a path, and she does it monthly. It takes the sun a whole year to go one through and back. And what we notice is that the energy from the sun actually gets collected in her, in the moon, and she glows back the light. And it's not really light because you can't see light. You can't. Jason, if I was to ask you, can you see light? What would your response be?
Can you see light? I have to take it to like a video editor's type position. And I know that in 3D rendering programs like Blender and Motion, that if there's no light source in the scene, you can't see anything. So you need to have light in order to see what's in the scene. Can you see light? Well, if you turn the things in the scene off, you don't see anything. Right? But without the light, the scenes aren't illuminated. That's the way the programs work. So that's what I relate back to.
So basically what you're saying is, when you don't have a light inside the three-dimensional space in the computer, where you've built a floor, you've built the walls, you've built a roof, you've put in grass, you put in a river, you put in a lake, you've built this thing in the three-dimensional space, but until you have a light, what happens? Just one more time.
You don't see anything.
There's no light. There's no anything. It's just dark, black, right?
Yeah.
So basically, what we can say the properties of the light is that what it does is it reflects the surroundings to a basic mode that our eyes are able to see. So there's something magical. I shouldn't say magical. There's something incredible happening here when we think about the sun and the way it gives its light, and the moon and the way she shines her light. They have these incredible properties where it almost like interacts with each other to the point of creation. It's such a deep, deep topic. But when we start looking at the properties of the moon and the sun and how the sun travels, like if anyone just goes out and literally watches a sunrise from a decent elevation, find a high hill in your area if possible. I would basically do is I would take out the charts and the graphs that show the different altitudes, and I would find the highest spot and I would try to get there with my camera. And if you do that, you're going to see the sun actually just comes out of nothing. It just appears and slowly rises out of the earth, right? And it happens right there because we filmed trees, animals, all types of things happening in that little local area where the sun's coming out of the ground. And it rises up and you see the clouds underlit. The sun goes through those clouds. You see it literally split right through the clouds and ascend up into the sky on its path. If people don't know how mind-blowing and how indoctrinated we are, if you can't see that you're just witnessing something absolutely impossible under the notion that we've been told that we live in this universe where everything is physical, right? Everything gets thrown out of the water. All you have to do is look at a sunset, look at a sunrise, and just behold it. Even the way the crepuscular rays shine down from in between the clouds, the shadows that are created from anything during an eclipse, it fractalizes the eclipse itself and shines it thousands of times on the ground. Whether you hold your hands like this or like this, whatever it is you're doing, the tree leaves turn into the eclipse shadow. There's so many things in this realm that we really want to share with people, and it's like the most incredible thing I could ever do with my time is to express these types of things that the Creator made. So again, light isn't something that you can point at and say, oh, there's light. You can't see the rays of light. No one ever has, right? All we know is that it creates the reflecting objects in the realm, and we need it. But it's supernatural that's happening. Like, what can you add onto there, Jay?
Well, can you ring the bell a whole bunch of times and then throw your arms up in the air and go, I nailed it! I nailed it, right? Like, because
no, we don't need to go that route. But what could you add to that?
Well, the reason I say that is because that is solely what we want to get people to realize right now. These things that we're trying to draw your attention to, what we are witnessing when we zoom in and see the sunrise, where it's at. If we pay attention to its azimuth, which is its compass heading, and to the altitude and zenith that it goes to, we're going to make sure these aren't complicated topics. We're going to make them super simple. But when you pay attention to these things and you see what's transpiring in your circle of sight, you're going to be really, really amazed. Like, there's going to be a time where all of a sudden, boom, the light bulb comes on and you are going to know that you are in a simulation. It's not going to be one of these contemplations anymore.
So
Like that whole believing or thinking or anything like that is going to be right out the door when you know.
mhm.
And we can show people through solid evidences. When you do the contemplations, you study it for yourself, you go test it, repeat it, test it, repeat it, test it, look at the conclusions. All of a sudden you're going to go, wow, wow. And so we're going to take people to that place just by showing you how to test, what to look for, all those types of things. And we've already been down the path. We already know the answer. We've done the test. The reason why we're able to smash the AE mappa model is because we both tried modeling it. Right? That's all it took for us to realize that it didn't work. And
sorry, I just had to put someone in timeout.
all right, no problem.
Saying the AE map kills the ball. I just want to tell them the AE map is a ball. It's a squished globe. Okay, sorry. And generally people don't need to jump in the chat with all caps. I might be a little irritable right now. I got to bring up it's cold like Canada here in Texas, but it's all right. It's all right. I'm getting through it. I might have been the only guy in Texas with an ice scraper and winter tires, right? So I'll give myself the bell. It's been incredible to see the way that they're prepared for this. The heaters were sold out. They don't have salting trucks. They don't have sand trucks. They don't have anything to deal with the ice. And there's basically we're in an ice storm, which happened in Canada. There was a huge one. We had a really bad one, Jason. Yahawah's daughter was actually an employee for the hydro company. Well, you call it the electric company. And dealt with all the problems. It causes nothing but chaos. The roads have been chaotic. The stores were just insane today. There's a lot of things that are losing power. Walmarts, HEBs. So it's been really chaotic these last 48 hours since the freeze started, right? What do you want to add into that?
All I can add is I hate the cold. I'm not a fan. I uprooted, left friends and family in Wisconsin to go farther south, and apparently I didn't get quite far enough, but
well, most of the year we did. So again, if I take it back to I saw a squirrel ADD moment. If you want to talk about the AE map and anyone that thinks it's real and the sun is 3,000 miles up, I got a huge problem with that, right? Huge. And this is really basic, and maybe later I'll pull up something to show this, but for now I'm just going to speak it plainly. If the sun was up circling 3,000 miles in the sky, as the sun goes across and there's this supposed dome, right, we would have to see through the sun at nighttime to see the stars on the other side of the dome. Because when we look, if you're in the north part of the map and you look north at nighttime, you are actually looking across the plane of the flat earth, and you would actually see the sun continuing over Russia. You'd see, you have to look through that to see the stars. And here's another huge simulation point, is that everyone everywhere can look north, east, south, and west at nighttime and see stars in the sky. It's completely plausible. That's how we see it. I don't know if I explained that perfectly. Did you understand, Jay?
Yeah, totally. I want to stay with the chat tonight and react to people's comments. So Mojez567 says, how can a simulation be real? And my response is, how can it not be real? Because we understand we understand simulations to be things like video games. There's simulation games. There's different programs. These programs, how could we even talk about them if they weren't real? So the fact that there's a word for it and that we actually see demonstrations of them prove that they are real. Simulations are real, and we can do them right now. And one of the things that we've seen through increased processors and graphics and all that kind of stuff is they become more and more photorealistic. So one of the things that we notice in this world is that the body has 5 fundamental senses, right? So as long as you have vision, right, heads up display, as long as you have a sense of smell, as long as you have a sense of taste, as long as you have a sense of touch and hearing, these senses you're plugged into this world, right? That's how it operates. Now, we know that atomism is fake. It was made up by Kabbalists back in ancient Greece. This was a theory where they said everything was a ball spinning around everything, and there's all this empty space in between. And so atomism is a made up theory, philosophy, the same people that made up heliocentrism. And so what we do is we actually look at what it is that we see, what it is that we witness, what can we extrapolate from the data, what can we accomplish through deductive reasoning as far as conclusions are concerned. So we're going to go into detail on a lot of that. But yeah, simulation obviously
I can
means something real. It doesn't mean fake or not happening or...
Well, it's we keep bringing the video game analogies in. Even our bodies itself, the function of it is to replicate. There's a code to it, and our bodies are constantly regenerating. They're creating themselves as they hit their max point. We have the most incredible part of the simulation, to be a human body with a conscience and a spirit and a mind. And it's incredible how all that is connected together. Like when scientists try to pinpoint where the consciousness is, they actually can't find it, right? They can tell you that, oh, this part of the brain does this part of the, and then you'll see someone missing parts of their brain and they're still able to do all the regular functions. So there's that interesting thing. The re-replicating is exactly what you would need to program into a simulation. Then we have, like, if you look at video games themselves, like we had discussed, when in a renderer, when you're creating a three-dimensional reality, until you put the light in there, you can't see anything. It's just black. So we have the same I'm lost for words here.
Well, that's all right. I just want to jump in and bring up that is our favorite biblical proof.
I made you do it, bro. I'm sorry.
Favorite biblical proof of us being in a simulation, and that is the days of creation. So we've got an audience here that cares about the Bible. We care about being followers of the Bible, and so the greatest proof, in my opinion, is that the scriptures tell us that day and night were created on day two.
Day two.
Right? Light and darkness. So think about the sky that you see and witness, people. Have you ever gone out and watched a sunset, and as the sun goes down, actually watched the gradient of the sky rotate towards where the sun went down? And if you look back and you look around, straight up, and it's getting darker, you can see this gradient become stronger and stronger and stronger. And it comes over, and the darkness comes down to the horizon. And then it becomes dark, but there's still probably some ambient light to be beheld. If it was pitch black, vision would not be possible. So
yeah, there's
it looks
the stars.
Like all those algorithms were set by the creator on day two as far as that light was concerned. It wasn't until day 4 that we had the spotlights of the sun and the moon come in.
And the stars.
And the stars. So there was day and night before the sun, moon, and stars. And that right there destroys atomism. It just throws it right out the door, because that entire Kabbalistic philosophy requires these atoms to pre-exist in order to be the source of the light, right?
Yeah, and you want to know, I can take this to a super high level. Just to share with everyone the thoughts that come to me when I contemplate all this and the scriptures. One of the most amazing things that you can find is the word matrix actually comes from the Bible, right? And sure enough, when the word matrix was introduced into reality, it was used to describe a mother's womb. So the simulation itself has multiple different things that it does, but what this place actually does is birth life, right? We come here and we're spiritually born, and then we get born again when the Holy Spirit comes into us. So we're again born. And the most incredible thing is, like, movies like Pinocchio, right, where it's a fake person that becomes real, is actually playing just on exactly what I just told you. This isn't something that's new. Now, They've done absolutely everything that they can to make us weak, to make us dumb, to make us unspiritual, to make us not supernatural. They've done everything they can from cradle to grave. All we are is bombarded with propaganda telling us how weak we are, how dumb we are. It's just a never ending, all the science, all the stuff that people get PhDs for, that they've all been super indoctrinated, and they play on all the different egotistical attacks, narcissism, sex. They use everything, cheating, lying, murder, everything disgusting. And what they're really trying to hide from you is that you're a supernatural being that was born into this realm to grow and be born into creation. And all that can be summed up when you understand that the word matrix came from the word womb. And just like the woman then gives life to the child here, it's the gateway into this realm. So too is when you become born again, when the Holy Spirit dwells in you. So we want everyone to like meet us at our level. This is what we teach, and this is what we know. And I don't know if it can be. So we've had a guy, he's been covering our stuff, and everything we say, he's like, I don't believe you. It's just belief. And everything we give him an answer, he's, I don't believe you. Everything we say, he doesn't believe. So my question for everybody else is, what is it that you believe that you can hold to as fact or faith? What foundation are you willing to sacrifice your life on? Is it going to be on witchcraft? Is it going to be on mainstream science? Are you going to be into the scriptures? Are you going to be into just one book? Are you going to be into 66 books? At what level do you put yourself in on a truth basis? Now, for me, it's absolutely simple. The most important thing to me that always is and always will be is the truth. Now, if the truth itself isn't shoeboxed into just like the scriptures or science, so post science, the truth itself is everything that was created to be, and that is. That is what the truth is. And here at Team Yahawahashai, we stop at nothing to bring you guys as much truth as we can find on any topic. And the simulation realization is the most freeing one. When you realize who you are, where you are, and why you are, there isn't anything that you can't accomplish in this realm. You can be anything you want if it is in the correct will of the Creator, who is like our Father, right? We have a Father. He created us, and He sent us in here through the womb to learn, to grow, to make mistakes. Like, I troll myself constantly. Like, it wasn't until I even met Jason that I started to like, okay, I think I should try to do something right for a change, and corrected my path and worked on my, typing and spelling and writing and just tried to do things correctly. My whole life, I've just been like, I read the whole internet. As soon as I became a truther, I wanted to know absolutely everything about everything. I checked into all the maps. I probably searched 100,000, if not more, maps and had them all saved on files. And lo and behold, me and Jason stumbled upon the only one that can represent both a sphere when projected and a flat plane when flattened out. The only one that works. I had found it. Jason asked for it. I gave it to him. Boom. We had that. Now, I'm just absolutely on a ramble here, but the truth of this is we understand the macro scale, which is the large scale with the map. I've put it into a 3D modeling program, and I put the way the stars would macro spin around us with the north, east, south, and west. I've showed everybody that and exactly how that map would work, but we don't actually observe that. Everybody has their own circle of sight that the stars rise and set in, the sun and the moon rise and set in, and it's all local. It's just on the horizon. It's like 3 miles away, people. It's really close. That song, It's a Small World After All, people who know that they're in a simulation are saying that because your world is super small and it's so special. And you guys, I know you're all going to be a simulation denier. I'll stop ranting now. I don't even know where that came from.
Yeah, no problem, bro. So really the summation of all that, I mean, it's all absolutely fantastic what you said. The summation of it is the 4 fundamental truths that Team Yahawahashai stands on. Now we're working on the addition of a 5th fundamental truth and a 6th as an open group community as we're going through the research, trying to hone in and get to the bottom of what the true biblical calendar is, so we can follow what Yahawahashai commanded us the Lord's evening meal, the remembrance of him. So we're trying to add that. We're trying to add anti-Trinitarianism because it's not biblical. And we just need to show everybody all the details of how that's not biblical. But really 1, 2, 3, and 4 has been what our entire ministry is about. And so that the debunking of heliocentrism is the foundation. It's the root. It can break through to people that are in the great delusion, which is heliocentrism, that once you start to comprehend the amount of people that must be in on these psyops, that now you can progress forward and start to realize that there's a whole bunch of deception going on. The next level is to wake up to the fact that there's going to be a fake flat earth model that's presented, which is what we're dealing with Adam Fink and this whole thing. He tried to connect the true biblical calendar to the Freemason New World Order AE map and model, which we have spent our ministries debunking. And we're going to continue to do that. We'll continue to show more and more and more until people are just sick of seeing all the proof that the AE map and model doesn't work. The third thing that we point out for the graduates of we're not on a spinning ball and we're not on an AE map and model is that atomism is a hoax. The entire concept of material reality that we're taught is Kabbalism. Right? There's so many different ways to prove that. The title tonight, Imploding Your View of Reality. Right? So how many of you were ever taught that hydrogen implodes? Who out here knows about implosions? What's an implosion? Implode? It blows in and it comes together, implodes. Is anybody ever?
We were taught implosion. Anyone who wanted to be a scientist or someone who thought they were an academic and they researched the way that the universe supposedly works, and you research the Big Bang, you come to the Big Crunch. And they talk about how this is a cycle that happens. The universe explodes. It gets so cold, so far apart that all of a sudden it then implodes back on itself to another explosion, and everything starts again. So we were taught theory of implosion, but it was applied to a absolute retarded, nonsensical reality that you could never observe.
Yeah, so you will not hear science guys, any truth seekers come out and tell you that hydrogen implodes, but it does. You can test it. We can prove it. Wouldn't a person think to themselves, wow, if everything else explodes, is combustion and blows outward, those things sound dangerous. I'm curious about the thing that comes together, right? What about that? Well, come to find out it's the most plentiful substance that's here in the world. So it's you can see the major psyops, the fact that they don't tell you about implosions, the fact that they don't tell you that compressed airs, gases and liquids, that when they're released they create coldness. Like the laws of thermodynamics are pure BS intent on perpetuating explosive technology, things that combust, things that burn out, as opposed to things that would implode and be clean and stuff like that. So there's the way that we see the water cycle, the way that we see, we're going to be looking at the actual sunrises and sunsets, what we actually witness as far as where it is in distance relation to us. We're going to talk about how close this is happening to observers based on their elevation, all those types of things. We want to go into detail on all this stuff to the point that everybody gets it and understands it. We've gotten this years ago, and literally when Ronnie and I started talking to each other, we knew that the AE mapping model wasn't working, that we were in a simulation. And what we've done is spent the last 3 or so years acquiring all the best proofs and ways to show it to everybody. And it seems like Adam Fink of the Parable of the Vineyard was the catalyst that's going to unleash all of this now. And if anybody cares, if they actually care about the world that they're in, who created it, anything like that, they should probably tune into this, because we're not talking about theories here. We're talking about things that we can show as factual. People that can go out and test these things for themselves.
So I think there was a question from Moj567EG. It said, if it was so small, why can't I be closer to Ben? I don't know if he means like the simulation, the sky. Like I said, it was 3 miles away. So the most amazing thing about the sky and the objects in it, the rainbows, right? Anything that's supposedly light casting, the moon and the sun, the closer you get to it, the further away it moves. There's an algorithm set, again, proving that we live in a supernatural spiritual realm, right? So the closer you get, it's just like a rainbow, right? The closer you get to a rainbow, the further it moves. That's how...
Well, this might be a good introduction to some of the content I would like to go through, where I want to get everybody's input, and I want them to tell me how far away they think some clouds are in front of me and stuff like that. And we're going to talk about whether or not the sun's below or above, stuff like that. So should we get into the screen share section, or is there anything else you would like to say first, bro?
Well, just that the sky itself, the stars, the sun and the moon are exactly like the rainbow. The old adage of saying that you can never get to the pot of gold is because the rainbow continues to move away from you. And so does the sun, so do the stars, and so do the moon. The higher in altitude we go, the further away they move. When you get to a point of like 30,000 or more feet in the air, you don't see the stars anymore, right? Now, I do believe we still see the sun and the moon from that height, but I haven't personally done that trip. That's something that we still... And again, Jason and I don't have everything figured out, right? We're not the know-it-alls of everything. We're still learning too. So if people sometimes think that
but
we're
the thing is we also don't talk about the things that we don't know. All right, so
there are some things we're still working on, right? As a community.
We'll throw... Yeah, so those are project things. And we said that, like, Fundamental Truth 5 and 6, Calendar and Trinity, we want to go forward. We want everybody's input on this. But we don't delve into topics that we don't have evidence to stand on. All the things that we talk about are things that we've researched and know that we can back up, we can defend in debate, on trial, in front of our judge, Yahawahashai. Like, be able to stand in front of him and say, all right, this is the case that we've been able to make. And it's just that. It's not egotistical. We've just done this for the last couple of years. It's
we've been
a hobby project, right?
Well, passion
Yeah.
project. Okay, let's take it up to a notch. So you want to screen share? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Hang on, let me punch the screen. Give me a second.
I could.
So you're ready to set up your screen share whenever you want, brother, and we'll get you going. And then I've got stuff to go through as well. But thanks again for everybody that's tuned in tonight in the chat. We're really thankful that you guys have all came here to listen to us talk, and we're gonna share with you, everything that matters to us. Let me make sure you're not presented quite yet, brother. You want full screen? Are you sharing stuff that people need to see completely, or are you? What are you doing here?
Let me think here. I want to show. No, it can be in the screen share.
Okay. You want to use your screen share, and you're good to go.
All right. So let me get my camera out of the way here, quick. The video that I released today with the sun beneath the clouds, there's a lot that can be unpacked from this. And so there's been comments. I really recommend people, if you want to have some interesting reads, if you're worried or concerned about our approach against Adam Fink, Parable of the Vineyard. Read through them, because I've published a lot of dissenting opinions that think that we're non-Christian for calling Adam Fink out. And so the point that we're trying to get through is that there's an overstanding truth here that's overwhelming, that just needs to be blasted out there, and everybody needs to get it, if offended or not, and it should be all sorted out in the end. This footage, I decided I wanted to republish it, because what it is it's the end-to-end footage of a sunrise. So I just want to show everybody here quick this set of trees, the cow.
Let's see, play it, brother. Hit play, mute.
Right. Sun's rise to exit from a cloud layer above. All right, so I'm zooming in and out, and you might be starting to get a little bit of layout here. You got a tree on the left, you got these farther ones, tree right here, and you see this layer of clouds here. The sun's not up yet. Let's watch the sun come out. This footage has been both sped up in places to conserve time and slowed down in places for analyzation, but it is end-to-end complete. All right, you can see here that the focus that I had with the camera wasn't perfect. You have these blurry outlines of trees in front of the sun, but you can still see definition in the major branches of the sun here. But I'm sorry, everybody, this was back in the day when I hadn't started using, well, this is the P900, plus I was probably using autofocus. Sorry, I learned. See when the focus adjusted? It's a little bit clearer here, but hopefully you can see now that the sun is coming up full disk at the horizon, and that there are layers of clouds above this. So somebody is presenting challenge. They need to know more about this. They wanted to know where it was, when it was shot. This is the location that it was shot at. This is 1800 Caldwell Lane. This is out near where I used to live on the east side of Austin. And I would go here in order to film sunrises because of this nice pasture here. So if you were to imagine cutting off all the trees out here at the horizon, just cut them off and level out the terrain completely, what you would be seeing is 3 miles to the horizon. So obviously, because there's these trees out here, we're not seeing the full 3 miles. Like even back here, there's still these trees. You would have to like cut off all these trees, flatten out all this ground, and then the normal observer would see 3 miles to the horizon. So you can even see here, here's the notch of where this tree is and this tree is, and you can tell. Well, let me get this mouse on. So here's the tree that was in the footage. Here's another tree over here, and you could tell that this right here is where the sunrise came up, right in this notch, and it came up into, it just so happens to, Google Street View has clouds out at the horizon here too. So when that sun came up here, it rose into the clouds that are right here. And so I really want people to start responding with, let me back this up again. Here's Google Street View's view of this right here. We're clearly not seeing 3 miles to the horizon back here because there's still trees on it. All right, it's going to come in short of that. How far up would a person say this cloud is? Right here. This big poofy one right here. I mean, where this tree is out in the field, it doesn't look like it's quite over it yet. It might be a little bit farther behind it, but Would you say that this tree back a little bit farther, would you say that that tree is under that cloud? I would say probably yes. And then you start looking at clouds back here. Where's that lining up? Well, that seems to line up with this tree horizon here. These, you see, if you're looking at this tree horizon, what are the clouds above it? It's like these ones here and over here. How far away is that, people? Is that 3,000 miles up? Look, so we're going to go through the footage. The sun came up right in the notch of the trees over here. It ascended up into a bank of clouds right above it, and then it came out on top. How is it possible that the sun would be 3,000 miles up doing circles? Well, it's not. I want to remind everyone that when we watch a sunrise, the sun does literally just that. It rises at a certain azimuth and ascends to a zenith based on our latitude in the day of the year. All right, so azimuth and zenith. This is important, everybody. We need to understand this, and we need to learn this as a class together. Azimuth and zenith. It's not difficult. All right, so everything is shown. Let's go back here. Make it as big as possible.
Well, okay, yeah, like that, please. You know what? You want it bigger? I'm going to put you on the full screen.
No, this is fine.
What? No, let's.
This is fine. I want to be able to.
I already got you up.
All right.
It's just I want people to see it. I got to move something. Continue though.
We're going to show a number of graphics. This isn't complicated here, people. I'll show you a couple different perspectives. The observer. So that is your eyes, or it's something like a camera. Cameras are observers too. And so the observer can line themselves up with north. The way you would do that is you would sight Polaris. Once you sight Polaris, the degrees of a circle, which is arbitrarily set to 360, which I don't agree with. I would much prefer 400 degrees, but they set it to 360. So we need to know that 90 degrees is east, 180 is south, and 270 is west. So that is your azimuth. All right. Once you've pointed a compass towards north or Polaris here, as you were to rotate around clockwise, you would be counting off degrees. 90 would be pointing true east, 180 south, 270 west. The zenith. So this right here is altitude. You as the observer, if you're going to sight something like a star, you would have to turn on azimuth, and then you measure the altitude to the sight that you the object that you sight. Now, I want to bring up, I grew up in concrete. My father was a flat concrete contractor, and we had transits, things like this thing right here, and they would be on a tripod like this. This is just like the type of transit that we had. Now, we never tipped it up like this. You see how this one right here, the barrel is tilted up? So we would just set it up. We would level the head, and then we would get measurements from it. But so as you rotate this, you can actually get measurements on a compass. So let's say you wanted to do a star sighting and take some readings. What you would do is you would take this and you would turn towards Polaris, and then you would zero out your azimuth. You would tilt this up, and you would know the altitude that Polaris is for you. So this is all you need. This concept here of being able to turn side to side and tilt up and down, and you now understand altitude and azimuth. Let's show another simple graphic here. Why they're blowing out like that? All right, so
That's better.
it's real simple. You as a person, you can just stand here, and once you figure out where north is, you just turn and then measure the up angle. All right, so that's your azimuth and your elevation, and you'll be really surprised to find out what this information is going to tell you. The azimuth alone can tell you what the equinox is. All right, so, and then elevation can tell you whether or not you're on the equator. We're going to make sure everybody understands how to gather those conclusions, right? There was another, I thought one of the first ones here, yeah, like this one. So open image. All right, so this is like the transit that I was showing. A person that would take that transit, you level out the transit. Like if you sight to Polaris and zero out the 360-degree scale on your transit, then when you go sight something, it's going to tell you how many degrees from north it is. Then when you tilt it up, it's going to tell you it's going to start at 0 degrees, and the maximum it's going to go up is 90. All right, it doesn't go beyond 90. You just start counting down the other direction. The maximum vertical zenith is always going to be 90 degrees, and that's really how we isolate to know where the tropics are, because it goes beyond certain places and it doesn't, right? Then so let's see, let's go back to
So,
go ahead.
Yeah, that's the device and the way that we measure things in the sky so that we can put ourselves on a position on the map. So when we align those types of things like Polaris or Sigma Octantis or the sun or the moon at certain times, because the moon moves a lot more, we can measure these things, these angles, I shouldn't call them things, these observations, and we can use them to move throughout the realm. It's very important that people understand, and it's the starting point into understanding, how to see the ecliptic path and how to align yourself with that, because that angle also tells you where you are. There's so many different things in the realm that we can use.
Yeah, so this tool right here is going to spit out information like you find in timeanddate.com. And I think I have a tab open here there it is. So, all right, so if you're in Jerusalem, let's go back to January. All right, so we're in Jerusalem in January, and you get numbers like 117 and 243. So the sun rose at 117 degrees, and the sun set at 243 degrees. Do you see that this rose from south of east? So anything east is 90. It rose from south of east, and then it set south of west. And then as we progress through these days, see that these arrows are going to continue to tip up and up and up. Right? Do you see how the arrows are getting closer and closer and closer? We'll go to the next month now. This is your sunrise and sunset angle. We're still south of east, south of west, but these arrows are going to continue to get closer and closer to 90 to 70. All right, we're still not there yet. We got to go another month. All right, this is how we calculate the equinox. All right, watch as we get into to march here. Well, all of a sudden these lines starting to look sort of close to east and west. Let's start paying attention. We're at 98, 262. Getting smaller here, 94, 93, 92, 91, 90, 270. Right? When does this take place? March 19th. March 19th is when the sun rises, 90, 270. And then as you progress beyond that, guess what happens? It's going to go the other direction. Now, as far as finding the equinox is concerned, this is an important part of our study. We see that 9270 happens on the 19th in Jerusalem. But look at our daylight time. So we're at 12 hours, 5 minutes, 44 seconds. One of the other things that we're looking for is equal day and equal night. So equal day, equal night seems to happen back here. It's the 16th, 17th, according to these charts. Now, these all have to be double checked and verified and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, you can test this with standard Stellarium type software or a whole bunch of other things. And you're going to see that the sunrise and sunset angles are going to be pretty congruent with what you see right here. Now, if you were to consider any place south of the equator, from the fall equinox to the spring equinox, you're going to shred to pieces the Freemason New World Order AE map and model. But we just want to start getting people keyed into the idea of seeing how a sundial works. We're gonna make sure that you really, really get this, that this, when the sun rises 90 degrees east, 270 degrees west, it's going in a straight path.
And not only that, but that same straight path is observed all over the realm, which is
everywhere on Earth on the same day. It's going in a straight path.
Everywhere. Everyone's circle of sight sees the same rise and set angles of the sun. And when we found this, it debunked the AE map, but not only that, it debunked physical reality. It does. It blows it right out of the water. And everybody that's witnessing this, you now know that too. And so if you try to do the measurements and the calculations, if the sun was moving on its path, it would not be able to go straight, even on a sphere, right? Because the sphere has trigonometry angles as it curves the radius of the Earth. You would have different speeds and you'd have different rise and set angles pointing towards the sun if it was 92 million miles away. But what you can do is bring everything down to a 3 to 6 mile circle of sight, right? Then drawn out in a radius above you, and everybody has the exact same program that runs in your mind in your town, that same circle. And the only way that works is in a simulation.
All right, so you take me to another tab, brother.
Let's go, because I got tabs too.
This is exactly what Ronnie was talking about. So this is Nawi Jah. He's one of the original Clouds Behind the Sun guys that was with us, Team Yahawahashai. Unfortunately, he's not doing in English work anymore, but he put this video out. Let's see, I'll make sure everybody sees this. November 23rd, 2020. This isn't in English, but he's clearly talking about simulation. And check this out. So we're talking about simulation. This is an engine right here set up to simulate the sun in a simulation. Let's see what we see.
On the event graph, it's calling this recapture sky function, which allows us to do things like we can maximize the screen, go into G mode. And then another really cool feature that was added by Sebastian Hilaire, who worked on a lot of this sky atmosphere stuff, is you can now hold Control L in the editor, and you have a nice little gizmo there where you can rotate.
Whoa. Did anybody see too what happened right there? So there is your azimuth. There is your altitude. They have a gizmo. You set it down in the model. And now out here,
they call it a gizmo. It's a plug-in, right? Someone created this. This took a lot of, you call it a gizmo. Basically, it's a tool. So you drop the tool in, Go ahead.
Well, yeah, that's what. Well, I think they actually do call this a gizmo.
Okay, the name
this type of tool.
This plug-in tool. Yeah, it's a gizmo. And what then it does is it gives you full control of the sun inside of that reality to move it any which way you want, any angle, any degree. And just like Jason said, it starts at 0, goes up to 90, and then goes back down to 0, right? So you have your 82 degrees, and then what you also need, plus that's your angle up from the earth. You've got 82 degrees, and now you need your next measurement. That's going to be north, east, south, or west. And when you combine those two, you can basically measure, draw, look at anything in the realm.
Yeah, so this right here is a great representation of the second day of creation, right? There's probably too many shadows in it right now. But what you have is a sky.
I wouldn't say that, because the light was brought in, right, and it went through its cycle. So I would assume that there would be a gradient to the light that's applied that would cast shadows. It would have a strongest point, just like the sky we see now. Because, that's another thing, bro. A lot of people I've seen that go out and film sunrises and sunsets are just absolutely blown away that sometimes the sky's lit for a long time before the sun comes. Right. And we can measure the throw of the light and what we see reflected, but it's really tough to do that one. But continue, please.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying conceptually, this right here would be like day 2, where the day and night has been created, but the sun, moon, and stars have not been added yet. And so they're going to show in this program, they're going to put down the gizmo, and that's going to give us a sun that's going to create the hard light shadows. And they can move it all around. And as they move it up in the sky and move it down to the horizon, it does all the interactions that we witness in our own sky. See how well this simulates our own sky. I think you'll be amazed.
Control L in the editor, and you have a nice little gizmo there where you can
just called it a gizmo, bro. That's not what it's called.
How it works is that left and right movement is the horizontal rotation around the z-axis, and then up and down movement is kind of like how high it is in the sky. So it makes it pretty easy whenever you're in a certain view. You don't have to like bounce back and forth to the details panel or try to find the rotation gizmo or any of that. You're just kind of like, how do I?
So I just want people to understand that this sun, it's always equidistant to this point right here. It's equidistant. He's not dragging the sun out 3,000 miles or 93 million miles up. It's an equidistant setting from this point right here. And as he moves it around, it changes the lighting and the shadows in the scene right here. This is another one of these, what is this, 10, 15 mile to the horizon type scenes.
I find the best lighting response for this scene, including going from complete sunrise blackness to sunrise. You get that nice really bright red line from the Rayleigh scattering. So jumping in real quick too, we have kind of an invisible material applied to this sky dome right now, but we could apply that 2D texture-based sky.
Don't get crazy. You heard him say dome. He's talking about this imaginary circle that the stars and the sun and the moon take. It's also in the scriptures related to as a bow in the sky, not a dome.
Well, the dome that he's talking about, let's see if the gizmo shows up again. And plus,
what did it say, gizmo? I couldn't see. It's on the small side for me.
What?
Was the gizmo called gizmo, or was he just calling it that? Because I couldn't read that.
I think they're called gizmos.
I'm triggered by that, bro.
I'm sorry.
It should be called like a tool or a plug-in, or, it should have some crazy, like, I own the sun type name, right? Like... Like, I want people to really grasp the amazingness of this plugin. The fact that you can control, and what's interesting is that the light that's there is constant, and then it seems like the throw of the gradient that's created by the sun actually causes it to go different shades. It's really fascinating to see. I really like this video.
Yeah, but notice that right now the sun is underneath the clouds. Right, in this shot right here, the sun is underneath the clouds and it's under lighting the clouds. This gizmo, this program is not set up with the sun 3,000 miles up above these clouds, because they would never be underlit. Our clouds go from 1,500 feet to like
Yes.
50,000 feet.
You've brought up, I'm going to be getting into some links for that, showing the shadows actually shooting upwards from the clouds, which again proves that, like this modeling program, that the sun is below the clouds. If the sun was 3,000 miles or 92 million miles, and you see how absurd.
Once it's in motion,
You see how absurd it gets, right? But it's true, brother. You should really focus in on that point.
This is the dome. This is your azimuth and your altitude. You can turn in 360 degrees, and you can bring up your altitude to 90 degrees in any one of those directions. And what it's going to do is map out half a dome.
Mm-hmm. A bow,
right?
A bow, an arch. Sorry, we got to be specific.
I mean, a half a sphere. This is like
an arch.
An arch. It's domed.
A bow.
It's three-dimensional.
I don't like the word dome. I'd rather the arch or the bow, because that's what it is. The ecliptic path has its arch through the sky. So does the sun and the moon. And if we were to tie a string to it, exactly what you're saying, brother, it would ride straight across the top of that arch. Right? That's how we draw arches. We cross section and then we swing a radius. That's a swung radius, and it's fixed to the center point because that's where you actually swing from. That's how we.
Yeah, and the size of this, the scale of this is directly proportional to the height of the observer. As the height of the observer goes up, the scale of this celestial our view, the rakia. Right?
Rakia, yes.
That
the heavens.
There is no materialistic, dome like a hard rock structure, not a Truman Show. All that stuff is just crazy nonsense. It's part of the psyop. But the way you measure, the way you can measure all around you, you get this 360 degrees. And look at this. They always show it off of a flat plane. all these degrees would be completely different if this was on a curved surface, right?
100%.
As soon as you took this outside blue ring here and started pulling that down around the curve, every single one of the measurements would change. Right? But this is the way a person sees around them, and this is the way we measure. And it's like in a program like this, you can clearly see, you can shadows prove where the light source is, and we will end up getting into some serious shadow work. Are
you trolling me right now?
No. I'm talking about like measuring with micrometers, and we'll cut pieces of metal to certain heights, and we'll set lights at certain positions, and we'll shine the light down, and we'll see how far that shadow projects, and then we'll be able to triangulate the height of the light source. So that all of this is going to prove that everything is happening within each and every person's individual circle of sight, and that the concept of this materialistic world where an atomistic sun could be 3,000 miles up,
or 92 million miles.
93 million miles away, and could be out here, and that we would still get the lighting and the shadows that we do here underneath the clouds is ludicrous, because the sun actually does go beneath the clouds.
Yes. Well, see, that's where my links are going to come into play. I don't know what else you have to present here.
Yeah, please. Let's just have some fun. Your turn.
Okay, yeah, my turn. You're going to tag me in?
Tag out, yeah.
Hang on, let me get this set up here. Oh, you went too quick.
Sorry. Hello to everybody in the chat. I want to come in and see if there's any questions that we could address.
So basically what I'm going to screen share so Jason can see. I don't want to make him watch the stream. I'm going to hide this. Wow, really? Okay, so this is Mikal from Flat Earth Photography. I don't know if y'all can see. I think I have it so it's showing. Can't really see his logo there. But this is Mikal. He was an excellent member of Team Yahawahashai. Hopefully he comes back. Hopefully he still has his camera stuff. But here's a video of him clearly showing how there are clouds in front of, and behind. Actually, this is just wrapped, right? When I play this. So here he's got a negative filter on it, right? And you can clearly see that there's clouds over here. I think everyone can see my pointer tonight. I made it so you can. There's clouds over here, and then there's no clouds here, and then there's clouds here. So when people try to say, oh, the only reason why you can see is because the brightness of the sun is blurring out the clouds. This is the common thing that you hear people try to bring up. They absolutely have no idea what they're talking about, right? None. They don't have any idea of what they're talking about. The truth is that this cloud is actually going almost directly through the sun. And it's meeting back up over here. You can watch it. Look, you can see it. You can see the clouds coming up from behind the sun. This cannot happen if the sun was 3,000 miles up. Or even worse, you want to say it's 93 million miles away. Those clouds are 93 million miles away. Do people understand what the words coming out of my mouth mean? The sun is right here.
To be anything more than any distance above the clouds, like it would have to be illuminating all the tops of the clouds and nothing below. And that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing a side-on perspective of it going up and through the clouds.
It's incredible footage. He was favored heavily with his skies. He quickly caught on how to use the camera really well. I know you worked with him in the beginning. You did your first podcast, I think, with me, Cal. I wasn't involved in that one. That was before I did a podcast with you, right? Wasn't it called? Did you guys call it Flat Earth Photography?
Yeah.
Right?
And there was Q as well.
QNP. So again, we're seeing right here, this cloud right here isn't going in front of the sun. Parts of it are, but you can clearly see it going behind. It's going behind the sun. Sorry, guys. I did put, when I shared this for everyone that's here, I did put that we would absolutely blow your mind and completely destroy and implode anything that you thought was reality. I hope I was able to serve it up. Thank you, Mikal. We've got more. This is just the start. Like, look at this cloud right here going behind the sun. There's no way.
Yeah, and the thing is,
it got sliced. Here's part that went in front of the sun. Go ahead.
Totally. Well, the thing is, we're not even applying filters to it. There's so much that can be done with filters to prove what is in front, what's behind. The emboss filter, I think, is like the slam dunker.
Yeah, the negative is nice too, bro. This is beautiful. Mikal was really talented. He is really talented. So was Q, but Q just went all sour. Well, you can see clearly there's clouds going behind, and it's all locally lit up, right? It's interacting inside of this cloud, people. That can't happen if it's 3,000 miles or 92 or 93 million miles away. It's impossible.
Who is going to say, when looking at those clouds right there, that the sun is 3,000 miles up?
You know, Jason, I see a lot of people on Facebook sharing like clouds behind the sun, clouds behind the moon, and it's like, if they only knew, you know, that if someone could just link us to the comment section or you know, ask us for our footage, because like we were right there. I think I might have the first timestamp for having the clouds in front of the sun and the moon as a YouTube video produced with music and editing, and Jason was the one who actually captured the, you know, some of the breathtaking first ones. It was our crew. Not that I'm trying, again, I don't want to come from a stand of narcissism. I just want to let people know that I was given this amazing favor from the creator. He favored me and showed me that this is what was happening, and it absolutely blows away reality. Like, Jason, how could this work? How could this work?
When he zooms out and you get everything in context, and you can clearly see that we're talking about clouds that are in his circle of sight that are going to be like 3, 4, 5 miles away tops. And you see what's taking place. The sun interacts with the clouds. We've shown airplanes interacting with the sun. We've shown birds interacting with the sun. Interacting, like there's interaction. Nobody can say that there isn't. We show that there is.
You can see it with your naked eye. All you guys have to do is go out during, 30 minutes to an hour before sunrise and sunset. And you can see this with your eyes. I know an iPhone doesn't do a really good job filming it, but if you have a P1000 or a P900 or, the P900s you can get pretty cheap now, right? So let's move on to the next link. That was an awesome link from Mikal. Now we're going to get into the moon. Go ahead, bro.
There's a question from Seth Jordan. Is there a filter on the lens to allow you to look at the sun through the camera and not hurt your eyes? So
good question. Not to laugh, sorry.
No, all of this footage that we're looking at here is in the golden hour. Mm-hmm. It's always that 45 minutes or so before the sun sets or after it rose.
But to be completely correct, Mikal does use a solar filter, and so do you. So it's basically like a bit of a sunglass lens, and not always, right? Because you can look at the sun. That's how you sun gaze. You watch the sun rise and set those times. You can't really look at it at midday. You can, but it blurs out your eyes, right? So I didn't want to correct you, brother, but you incorrectly spoke when you said that the footage was filter free. It does have the solar filter, just like you use, right?
Yeah, so I ended up picking up a variable ND filter that helps with exposure. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that we want to address is we're showing all this footage of clouds behind the sun, and the skeptical people out there have common things that they're going to go to. One of the things that I would like to do tonight is go to Google, type clouds behind the sun, and see what the AstroTurf results are. And that way we're going to be able to point out to you what the disinformation is and how to overcome it.
Yes. But so now we're looking at the moon, okay? This is the moon in the daytime, right? I brought this up when we were on camera in the intro, and here it is. If everybody just looks, I'll turn it down. Okay. So because people on the internet, specifically us, we were out filming this and saying, hey, we got a problem here, everybody. We're seeing the moon in the sky, and it's got blue behind it and in it, right? So NASA had to come out and say that the Earth's glow actually goes out past 240,000, right? They had to say that. I think it was like in the 340s, 350s. They said this haze goes out because it's impossible. What we're seeing here, there's no moon here. There's nothing there. It's gone. You would not be able to see a physical object in the sky in the daytime and with it missing. It's almost like the sky blue itself is like water or some kind of liquid, which we only use the word water. We don't have actually a good enough vernacular or vocabulary to explain these things. This right here looks like it's like half in our realm and half not in our realm. It's gone. Do you see this? It's incredible, people. And it was created this way so we would be able to keep track of the calendar. This is a timepiece in the sky. Like, how amazing is that? Like, does everybody see what I got on screen here? Do you see this blue? If there was a round spherical rock-like object reflecting sun's light back to the Earth, you would see it. You would not see the blue sky behind it.
You know what's amazing, bro? Is you can tell like what day of the month it is just by looking at that.
It's not just one. He's got multiple ones here. He's showing you all the footage. It's incredible. And then there's other things we can talk about, like the fact that there's no skids, there's no angle impacts if this was supposedly created by impacts. This is what's called a texture. It was a texture that was applied, just like we would do in a 3D modeling program, that gives the moon her face. And we can help discern which phase we're in because of her face, right? Just like people can tell how you feel when they see your eyes, The moon has her eyes and her face, right? And it's totally a simulation proof. The fact that there's nothing here, that can't happen in a physical reality. Jason?
Well, that's the thing. You can pull this into any Photoshop, any video editor, stuff like that. You can apply things like the emboss filter, the negative filter. You can turn up the gamma. You can do whatever you want, and there's nothing there in those empty spaces. It's only the areas that are showing up right there that have some sort of evidence of existing. The rest of this blue area, non-existent. It's a big nothing burger. So we're just seeing, like, in this case, it's almost half of the light being projected. So it's either like a day before a quarter, or what would it be? Maybe it could be 3/4 too. So this is a day moon. So it's probably around 3/4 moon, and maybe like a day after 3/4 moon if it's not a straight line.
I put Mikel's link in the chat if anyone can come back here. If you click on it now, it'll take you off the video, but there's the link to his channel. Sub it up. You want to go through his content. He does some awesome stuff. He does great work. I really like his channel. Always have. Miss him. Miss his attitude. He was a really nice guy. He's really funny. You know, he's got some good jokes and some good editing skills, right?
No, yeah, he added a lot. It's a loss that he's not around.
Huge loss. It's been, but I did share the link with him, so hopefully he gets to watch it when he pops back on Zoom. He'll probably see the notification at some point. I don't know what time it is where he lives, right? But look at that blue. Where's the moon? Should be able to see it. Now, there are times, yes, where you can actually see the whole moon as well, right? Sometimes at night. Then you can see it again. It's so incredible, guys. Everything about this realm is just so interesting. So let's move on to the next video. Stay level. Because be curious and look up. Excellent, excellent, excellent video. So here's another one of the moon. So he's pointing out just the radical shape that you see here. This is just so weird. How... If it's reflecting sunlight, okay, there we go. Now we can see the whole moon in the shaded part. But again, how do we see it like this? It's so crazy. And he's teaching us about focal length as well. Focal length changes things as well. But focal length can't bring the moon back when it's like this. The blue, where was that? What link was I on? This one here. No matter how much you zoom in and out, you can't bring the moon back. It's gone. It's not there, right? So this is a good time to bring up, bro. Oh, this music's a bit funny. An interesting thing about the simulation. I can't believe I just lost my train of thought.
It's all right. The one of the great AE map and model debunks exists in the footage that you're showing from Macau right now. That so where would the sun have to be for the moon to be lit like that?
Yeah, it would have to be facing like far away, pointing up at it.
It would have to be up in that night sky there, right? Illuminating that surface. We're talking the AE map and model now.
Mm-hmm.
And then people would be able to see all the way around it.
Yes, they would see a half moon, a full moon, a 3/4 moon, if it was
Yes.
3,000 miles up.
And the phase of the moon would change as it circled around you.
Mm-hmm.
It's ludicrous. It's really dumb.
I can't believe I lost my train of thought, everyone. But yeah, so it's interesting the things that we can see with the moon and the sun and the way that they all work. It's incredible. Mikhail points out too the irregular shapes different things like that. It's everyone can go out and observe it themselves, and you can start to learn. Like if we were in the olden times, thousands of years ago, that would look like the face of a watch to us. We would know exactly which time of the month we were in just by looking at the light of the moon. Like, it's incredible the way that this has been set up for us. Let's move on to the next one. We're going to go into some clouds going in front of and behind the sun. Sorry, I got it sped up. Plus I have it cranked. This stuff is great. I love going. Oh, it came back to me. Thank you.
Nice.
Okay, so there's a huge push right now. There's a movie that we watched that we will be doing a podcast about called A Glitch in the Matrix. You've got Neil deGrasse Tyson. You got Elon Musk. You've got all these different guys. Nick Bostrom was one of the first. You got George Smoot. You also have people like Philip K. Dick, who wrote a bunch of movies, which, again, his name, Philip K. Dick, it's retarded, and that's the way that they do this type of stuff. But they're all talking about simulation, but not a one of these people that I just named or movies will actually bring you to the observable evidence. And I think that is such an underestimated thing, Jason, that I really want the audience, who we believe are to be our friends. We don't look at you guys like fans or subs. That's gross. We look at you guys as friends. Like, you're witnessing with us the proof that you live in a supernatural spiritual realm / simulation, Christian simulation to be exact, because the story of life, his story is the story that Yahawahashai came here to fulfill and write. He was the beginning of it and he's the end of it, the Alpha and Omega. And how amazing and humbled I feel to be a character in the simulation who gets to be the one that woke up. I'm not Neo, okay? I'm just a regular man. I sin. I do things that are wrong. I make mistakes, but I'm just so thankful that I was able to open my eyes to this, to see this amazing, realm-shattering evidence. And, Jason, you were the one that, I realized that the clouds were behind the sun and the moon. I was the guy that got the timestamp, but I never realized that it was telling me, because I took it to, it's because we live on a flat earth and they're probably 3,000 miles up, right? Globe Earth debunked, clouds behind it, right? No, it actually, my whole reality got changed. It was you, brother. You were the one that came in and said, you live in a simulation, right? And you said this long before I met you.
Well, and I knew it long before I heard about non-curved Earth. So it was the AE map and model that tripped me up with the dome for a while. Mm-hmm. At first, they were all saying, it's perspective, and the sun and moon are doing circles 3,000 miles up.
Until you put it in a modeling program.
And then I realized, no, they're not. And I started popping off about it, and you had already been doing that. So you were the one that found me because you were looking for other people that had woken up to not being on a spinning ball Earth, and the sun not being sun, moon, and stars being 3,000 miles up doing circles.
Yeah, I just realized it. The way I found you was obviously searching for clouds behind the sun and the moon, right? Or AE map debunked, because I was doing that search, because Free Energy with an A, Free Energy, he came out with a different model and actually debunked the AE map long before I did. He was the one that showed that when you do cartography and you actually try to chart things, it's impossible to do that with a circle. To have anything that's triangular, you can't actually, it needs to be gridded. It needs to be square, right? Squared. You need your parallel and lateral lines. And he proved that to me. And then I was looking for other people because I saw some disinformation from him, because we took his map. Excuse me. Well, Jason specifically took his map and then tried to do the angles of the sky, and it failed miserably, right? We realized, this map is really wrong, right? Because when you try to do the sun rise and set on the 2 times a year that it rises due east and sets due west, that Jason keeps harping on, that we started in the beginning of the hangout, that right there defines the square map that he uses. Right? It's impossible. The only way we could get it to work was through a stereographic projection. But let's get into this. Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, well, it's the due east, due west is just an observation that everybody on Earth gets on the same day. And you can't do that with a circle.
So again, To find that observation, you just draw a circle around you and you make it 360 degrees, right? So, and you align it with northeast, south, and west. And then you go to 90 degrees, which will be due west, right? And then you point the compass in the sky where the sun is rising. And then when the sun is setting, you point this compass towards the sun and line it up. And you'll find that the sun is setting due west. It works perfectly everywhere on the map, right? It's mind-blowing. Sorry, bro, I interrupted you again. Sorry. Yeah, just like you had said that when we measure into the sky, so the flat plane of the measuring device that Jason talked about, where you go 0 to 90, which is straight up, on the ground, you draw a circle around you with 360 tick marks. And that's how you calculate the rise.
Azimuth and altitude. People will become familiar with those terms and understand what they mean. They will.
I'm going to keep repeating it, right? So here, let's check this out. This is incredible. This one just shattered my world. I was like already into it, but then I was like, wow, this cloud right here, we're going to get a zoomed in version of it. It literally is split by the sun, right? The other part is in the sun. It comes out right there. It's incredible. And then you see it join back up. So there it is again, splitting. You see the section go behind. Here, I'll slow this down. Because when you see the cloud meet back up on the other side of the sun, you're going to notice that the back of the cloud comes behind the sun first. See right there? I don't know if people can see, but the cloud is coming from behind the sun. And watch what happens. It joins up right there. Right there was the convergence. This again goes against everything you've been taught. Has just been shattered right there. Here it comes.
Imploded.
I was hoping that I was going to be able to give you guys some simulation mana tonight. And I hope I did. So that's clear. Another piece of excellent evidence of the clouds behind. And here we go again with the moon. Look at that. So when he applies the filter, I'm going to just play this. Let this play for a bit.
So, brother,
Yeah, go ahead.
while we got people on this footage right here, I'd just like to point out that so Mikhail was in Northern Europe, right?
Czechoslovakia.
Yeah, Slovakia. I think he was in Ireland for a while, or something like that. So he's shooting from the north to the south. So with all this footage, if the AE map and model was correct, you would have people down near the tropics that while they were filming, they would be shooting up and they would be seeing the bottom of it.
Yeah.
And as it went past, they would see the back of it. People farther south
Over
would
here.
see.
They'd see
Right,
this
so
side.
We don't
underneath.
see all those other views. Like in the AE map model, the only thing that you wouldn't see would be the top of the moon.
Yes, we'd see
because it's 3,000 miles up, right?
We would see 360 degrees around the whole bottom section of the moon. We just wouldn't see its apex or its Polaris point or sigma, right?
Exactly.
Let's hear what he has to say. He does a little talking. I really want to give him his full time. Hashtag Team Yahawahashai.
And proper exposure. There we go. And also look at the shadow. So now the sun is below the horizon. And someone is going to tell you that the moon is illuminated by the sun. He must be out of his right mind. How can the sun illuminate the moon at this angle when it's below the horizon? Impossible. Some bollard bullshit. And you can kind of see it now as well. The edge is white, kind of white silver in color. Look at the edge, guys. It has to be simulation or some sort of world we live in. You see the edge, how it is illuminated, the fine white silver edge. Just like when you are projecting a hologram, you will see this effect. It can be illuminated by a sun that is below the horizon. Impossible.
He's probably editing this at a coffee shop.
Look at that edge.
Sometimes
What
you
is
hear
that?
people behind him. He always did his
You're
work.
telling me that's the sun, that's below the earth, right? It's a lot of bollocks.
In their country, everybody goes to the coffee shop and just hangs out all the time. You don't just like go through the drive-through at your Starbucks, right? Everybody sits down and talks, spends time. It's a totally different lifestyle.
Simply missing.
But yeah, he's pointing out here that the moon is just gone. It's not there. It doesn't exist.
And there's so many different ways to prove that.
And look at this.
The filters.
The crater is
gamma.
illuminated
Look at that.
outside of the shadow. Outside of the shadow line. How is this possible, huh?
Nice shot. Good zoom in. It was easier with the P900, I will admit. It's harder with the P1000, I can attest.
I guess why not?
Get a better zoom though, right, bro?
Yeah, 83x on the P900, 125x on the P1000.
125. And it's got a much heavier lens to it, right? It's quite the piece of tool. We're gonna put it back to work. Hopefully our skies get back to normal after this. Ice storm.
We're in some crazy stuff right now, but yeah, the
Dark
P1000
winter.
actually has a barrel focus where there's a ring that you can grab on the barrel of it and twist for focusing. That's next level stuff for a zoom camera like
Globals
that. The
will go
P900
like,
doesn't have that.
You know, it's just too high.
It's a mountain ridge there, right?
Just believe that.
That's what he's pointing out, how absurd it is to believe that.
Another anomaly in the book. The globe, I guess.
So let's keep moving on here. Now we're going to get into Jason's favorite subject, hydrogen. And what does it do?
Implode.
It
Implode.
It's, go ahead.
Yeah, so implosions are something that the enemy does not want to hear. They don't want you to hear about it. It's what Adam's going through right now by having taken a stand supporting the Freemason New World Order AE map model again. Things shrink, boom, come smaller. It's actually cold fusion, because that hydrogen and oxygen in those bubbles, when you ignite it and it implodes, it's going to reform into water droplets. So there's just so many things that we point out that other channels are never going to tell you about, that are reality busters. So implosions, that's another one that it's a huge simulation proof. Think about it. Everything else explodes. You have something that implodes. You think that this is accident? It wasn't for a reason. The most plentiful substance in the world implodes, so you don't even have to worry about if you have an engine failure having something explode on you. Think about all the engines that have popped on race car drivers and stuff like that because they're running on explosive combustion, right? What would happen if you had an engine failure if you were using hydrogen?
It would implode inwards.
It would implode inwards. Implode.
Interesting point that Yahawah's daughter brought up in the chat. And if the moon was that far away, it would pixel out before you could get any clarity. She is 100% true. The P1000 and the P900, it only has like a less than 10 mile range where you're even able to focus things, right? That's why we say that everything is super local. And the word...
let's be hypersensitive with what we're saying here, because we're going to definitely be up for criticism. The longest focal length lens ever made was a 5,000 millimeter Canon fixed lens that said it had the ability to work within 50 miles. All right. So what happens with a camera is once you get to a certain point, the focus length is at infinity. So everything at a certain distance is supposed to stay in focus, but we have no examples of being able to see something 50 miles plus.
Not in focus.
From a fixed location on Earth.
It becomes discretized. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It pixels out. It pixels out. So let's watch this hydrogen implosion.
And we're going to scoop those down a little bit. All right, we're going to see what happens when we add a little bit of energy to that.
Everyone has their ears covered, Carl.
We're going to have a little bit of energy to combine those two atoms together. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
She was just
2, 1. Comes together. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
So the gas itself sucked everything around it inwards so fast that it made this ginormous boom. Like, it gets slowed down here.
Isn't that amazing?
I'm gonna hit a heart attack.
No, show them your hands. Show your hands are okay, right?
Yes, everything's fine.
Really, really loud explosion, right?
Wow, that was fantastic.
I mean,
Look at his face. He was ready for it.
We're gonna have a little bit of energy to combine those two atoms together. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Last time. Watch it implode. Ooh. It's quite a force. Now, you know, we can drive combustion engines with this. And guess what it's made from? Water.
What did he say happens when he adds that combustion to it? He said it explodes, but he said he's going to recombine those atoms and reconstitute
Atoms?
water.
Atoms, though, no.
Yes.
And it turns back into water. Isn't that incredible? So everyone, we should be using water to power everything. We live in a water realm. It makes me really mad. Really mad.
Implosions, bro. That's what's happening to the people that stand up and promote lies and deception. They are imploding right now.
Let's move on through the tabs here. Let's let Mikhail do some more talking.
So, winter is coming, and there's a few changes in Flat Earth community, as you see. I mean, community, not really in Flat Earth in general. Seen a video from Jason and Ronnie. They are not going to be focusing on Flat Earth anymore. I agree with them. They have done the work. They have put the groundwork, and they really don't want to be focusing on the negative energy and focus more on community and make things better for everyone. Probably focus on some free energy inventions as well. So yeah.
Look at that.
Is that sun 3,000 miles up, bro?
It's slicing those clouds. Slicing. Don't know why the music stopped though. This is why Elon Musk won't debate us, or Neil deGrasse Tyson. This is why. We bring this out, good luck trying to tell me we live in a Big Bang cosmology.
Yeah, try and tell me the sun's 93 million miles up.
We're going to say, excuse me, can you come over here for a second? I don't know why that music stopped again. Oh, for a dramatic impact.
Try to tell me it's 3,000 miles up.
Yeah, it's 3,000 miles, Jay. Those clouds are 3,000 miles high, of course.
3,000 miles, of course.
Of course. Even though the planes fly through them at 20,000 feet. Or they're above them.
Even though we have footage of planes flying through the sun. Many people have that footage.
Sure, and interacting with the light, with the energy of the sun. And that was nice of him to talk about the community that we were building that absolutely nobody wanted to partake in with us. I guess we are two truthers, right?
Yeah, well, that was the time period where we had really proven the Earth was not a spinning ball flying through space. We had destroyed the Freemason New World Order AE map and model, and like the work was done. It was time to move on. But
We'll
Like you
go back.
said,
We're coming
nobody cared, and so now we're back at proving that the Freemason New World Order AE map and model is impossible.
And their entire reality goes with it. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you later. Peace. Say goodbye to reality, everybody. When you see those clouds going behind the sun and interacting specifically with that local area, and you can measure how high those clouds are, you're going to find out that the sun, the moon, and the stars are so close to you. You're a supernatural being created by the Creator, and He loves you. You're not alone, right?
Yeah, all you got to do is figure out how far away those clouds are from you, and that's how far the sun is.
Bada bing. You don't need to do any crazy measurements. Well, you do need to do some crazy measurements, but that's fine. Oh, more dramatic. Music stops. I guess he really wants people to look at this. We're looking, Mikhail. And I believe he's from the Czechoslovakia. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. I didn't see the sun wobble too much, but it does fluctuate. It's really cool too. When you sun gaze, you start to see this repeating ring that runs around the outside of it. AJ, isn't that incredible? The sky turns pink.
Yeah,
right?
If you ever tune in to the sun at the proper time, what I witness is that there seems to be, if the sun disk itself, we're going to call 100%, if you were to shrink it down to like 90%, there seems to be like a disk that covers the 90%. You just shrunk it a little bit. And then that outside edge dances with light like crazy, right?
It dances. Look at that. That's incredible what he's got there. Wow. And I suggest everybody watches the sun rise and set so you can actually see this for yourself. Look at that.
Yeah, if you watch,
there's the green flash, right?
Yeah, if you watch that coming up like that, it's common for zoom photography people to catch this. That right there tears to shreds heliocentrism.
The sun is going into the earth, people, right there. You can see the light from it. It's going into the ground. Say goodbye to reality. You see how it's shining the light off of the local shrubbery and whatever trees that's there?
Underlighting the clouds above it.
Watch this again really, really closely. So the trees, you see the reflections as it dives into nothingness.
Is it 3,000 miles up there?
There it goes. Well, see, you can see clearly if you look at the clouds up here. I'll point it out. You see right here, everybody? Ooh, reality's going bye-bye. The light is shining up at these clouds. The sun is literally going into the earth.
How far away are those clouds?
I don't know, 3 miles, 4 miles?
Yeah, I would say somewhere in a shot like that, maybe 5, 6.
But you see the light under them. That is impossible with the sun 92 million miles away or 3,000 miles up. The sun would be up here in the AE map and model circling. It just absolutely destroys reality. Great footage. Oh, and here's the moon with the blue. And again, you guys just watched in real time. Let me take this up a notch. The sun set. The sky is still blue. The sun is gone. It's not there anymore. We watched it dive into the earth. The sky is still blue. Mikhail goes up. Boom. Now you've got the blue moon disappearing into nothingness. It's over. Who wants to debate? Let's have it. I'm ready. Who wants to debate?
Ready.
Let's do reality, bro. Let's get it on. Well, they're probably only going to take on you, which is the way it's going to go. But look at that.
Either way,
Sun's
We'll
gone.
tag team. We'll go back and forth. One person gets to shred them, then the other person.
Nothing that I say is my own truth. Everything that I'm speaking is the truth of the Father that created this place, because He's the one that puts the breath in my lungs. I don't get any of this. So let's keep going. We're almost through. Seth, they won't talk about it because we absolutely destroyed them with that evidence. Right? David Weiss is a deceiver. He tells people that the sun is shrinking, right? Which we absolutely debunk. Look at this. Look at this title. Sun does not get smaller on a flat Earth. Nikon Coolpix P900. Jeranism, Dearth, and Dr. Zach exposed. So I'm going to go back to the start here. So what the flat earthers were going around telling everybody, they would set up their camera and they would take a time-lapse video of the sunset, right like you're going to see here. This is how we spotted them. See how the sun's shrinking, right? Looks like it's shrinking as it sets. Because it's a time-lapse, right? Its focal length and the amount of the light. It comes more into it goes out of focus.
Exposure compensation.
Thank you.
because during the earlier, it's a time lapse. The sun was up during the day and it was real bright, so the camera was doing its compensation and it had tons of glare.
That's right.
As it gets closer and closer to the horizon, this isn't zoomed footage. Right, this is time lapse. Time lapse doesn't zoom, so
they were going around. Go ahead.
Because of that, the exposure compensation that happens naturally within the camera, as the sun comes down, it has less light, so it creates less of a glow. This is how they simulate a shrinking, moving away sun. Time lapse footage. If you see time lapse. Notice that you are watching some Freemason disinformation.
That's right, unless it's from Mikkel, who's showing you basically why this happens. Right. Look at the light come back. Look at that. That's incredible, man. Here it is. You can see the size of the sun as its exposure is changing. The size of it's actually going to the actual size of the sun. Right? And it looks like it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, right? But guess what happens when we change our focal length and we zoom in on it? Again, you can see it getting smaller and smaller, and then David Weiss CGIs it, disappearing into nothingness, and tells people this is what you see.
Over clouds, because that is what it is demanded by the Freemason New World Order AE map amount, because they have the sun 3,000 miles up.
And remember, the time lapse that we're looking at, this doesn't actually work the way your eyes work, because your eyes have a pupil and they focus in. This is an out of focus shot going into focus. That's the deception. Right? No one's ever seen a sunset like that, ever. You've never seen the sun. This is how your eyes see it.
There's not a single cloud in the sky, actually.
He's going to give you the same footage, but from a different vantage point, zoomed in with his P900. He might swear. Just a warning.
I hope you are loving the background noise of the cars as well. I'm also recording a time lapse from my house, so.
Is there audio for this section, bro?
fucking CGI bullshit we see from deep inside your asshole channel, you know?
Okay, here. This is what he wanted us to go to. So the only debunk that anyone has of us when we bring up the cloud, no, the only attempt in debunk is they say that there's power lines that go behind the sun, right? So what Mikhail actually demonstrated here, because those power lines were a lot closer to him, they were in focus or further away. And then these ones up here, as you can see, they get blown out, right? You can still clearly see them though. Whereas when we see clouds go behind it, we can never pull those clouds back into view through focusing. So if you watch carefully as the sun, all of a sudden those power lines are in front of the sun, right? You cannot bring clouds back in front of the sun, no matter how much you zoom in or out. But you can with the power lines, because it's all about focal length. This absolutely annihilates anyone's attempt to say that the clouds are not behind the sun. Because when it's in focus and the clouds are behind it, it debunks the fact that you could pull them in front. Right, Jay?
So there's three factors that I'm aware of, and if somebody wants to add to that they know of another one, but you have focal length, focus, and exposure. And one of the things that I would like to do, because we're really re-upping the clouds behind the sun, the actual what we observe, what we witness stuff, is there's the common arguments against being able to see clouds behind the sun. And so focus, focal length, and exposure are the three attributes that we have to really pay attention to. And I'd like to go into it in depth, and it's maybe its own hangout. We're already, 8 minutes past 2 hours. I could go into it right now, but
still have a few more links.
Yeah. So what we'll do, everybody, is if you're concerned about this idea that what we're seeing here has to do with the brightness of the sun obscuring things, like it's shining through clouds and stuff like that, we can dispel that with proof. And
you're looking at it. If the sun was too bright, it would be blurring out those power lines. They would not be able to come in front of it.
We can see things like tiny little birds at a distance fly across the face of the sun. We can watch them, if you have the right focal length and the right focus, fly right across the sun when it's super bright. So it's not just the brightness of the sun. If you have the right focal length and the right focus, we can bring things like the power lines Ronnie's showing you right now clearly into view again.
That's right. And birds and other things. We can't make them go behind it, but we can bring them in front of it. You can't make what's behind it come in front. I'm going to keep saying that. But anyway, but the distance that we can measure from this side of the sun to this side of the sun, if we do it focused like he is, as it's setting, at any point in the sky, if you're focused on the sun, you will have the same measurement the entire time. It doesn't shrink one bit, because he filmed this out on the roadway. I guess he called it a motorway. It's a highway. And then while he was doing that, he set up, I think he had an iPad or a GoPro. He set it up to take a time lapse, and here it is. And you can clearly see how Dearth tried to tell people that sun was shrinking. But as soon as you actually have the correct focal length and the focus, you actually see that the sun absolutely, now it's in focus, just as it's setting on the time lapse. It's now brightness has gone down, and the camera that's filming the time lapse is able to focus in on the sun. Before that, it's all blurred out. This was the same as this. As we've seen, you can measure it with a tool here online. You can measure it, and it does not change size at all. It would be shrinking into a tiny dot of nothingness, right? If it was shrinking at all. And this was one of the first things, not one of the first, but it was a huge debunk of the liars and deceivers in the FE movement. All of them. And they still promote this nonsense. Not as much, but deep inside the rabbit hole does. You can clearly see anyone can do it with their own naked eye. You can watch the sunset. It never shrinks. It stays the exact same size the whole way down. And he did a great job by proving this, that it was the time lapse. We went over it as a team, and Mikhail put in the time and the work, and he did it excellent. It was a great video. Now we're going to get on to another simulation proof. This time we're looking up at the clouds. Look at the shadows on these clouds, everybody. Look at this.
See these shadows? Please tell me, how can the sun illuminate this cloud just above it and cast these shadows if they point upwards? How is your sun in a space? This proves space is fake. Second point, how is the sun 3000 miles away above flat earth if you can see shadows like this? Guys, please just get yourself a camera and observe this yourself. This video is unedited, I don't have any filter on the lens. You can clearly see shadow is pointing upwards. This is impossible. If you believe in the fraud and fake AE map, you are deluded. You follow stupid channels who don't show you reality, don't do any observations. Look at these shadows here. Can't you see them? They're pointing up. Up, guys. I'm sure you can see them very well, yet deny the reality. The only cloud illuminated by the sun is this one here. How can you think you live on a globe? The entire sky should be illuminated if you were on a globe. Look, it's dark over here, and it's dark over here. Everywhere except for your local sun. Shadows don't lie.
No, they don't. That was quite the statement that he made there. And you can see in the footage, like, you can see the clouds. You can see the shadows above them. Look at that. Those shadows are being cast upwards. How is that possible, Jason? If you're there.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just in the chat. The shadows are being cast upward. We have somebody in the chat, Chris Johnson, that thinks that the sun is 3,000 miles up. Mm-hmm. Are you telling me that the clouds that we're watching right now are over 3,000 miles up? It's absolutely just the dumbest crap I've ever heard. It's obvious where the sun is. We can use anti and crepuscular rays. Anti-crepuscular, crepuscular, we can triangulate. We can draw the lines exactly to where the sun is. We can look at the clouds that are being used. We can see where they are in our circle of sight, and we can see where everything is happening. Anybody that denies that is just a satanic shill. Really messed up in the head. Like screwed up. Bad.
Yeah. I couldn't agree anymore. And the fact that we see shadows rising above. So anyone that knows anything about sticking a gnomon in the ground and reading the shadows, right? Anyone who knows anything about that will tell you that the point that a shadow points to is always the 180 degrees of the sun or the source of light. So the only way you could have a shadow pointing up from the cloud is that the light source is below the cloud. It's directly below, 90 degrees below this cloud, for the sun to be casting a shadow directly up. It's impossible.
Pointing up.
It's impossible. I'm sorry.
Up, guys.
A child could figure that out. Let's say 7-year-old, 8-year-old could easily do that. You teach them how to use a flashlight and a stick in the ground, and he'll be able to tell you, okay, I know where the sun is because when I point the light from this side, the shadow goes that way. The sun
is this one here. How can you think you live on a globe? The entire sky should be illuminated if you were on a globe.
True.
Look, it's dark over here. And it's dark over here.
Those shadows, bro.
Everywhere except for your local sun. Shadows don't lie.
I love it. So again, we can quickly look at this. I don't know if
that's the shadow work I want to do, bro.
Yeah.
They do not lie. Like, you can measure shadows. It tells you where the light source is. It tells you how high and up it is. Through the use of triangulation, you can use multiple points to pinpoint the altitude of one of the sources based off of the triangulation of the shadows. It's just simple.
Mm-hmm. Where's the map button on this? How do I change the map?
They're up in the left-hand side.
Sun path?
There's it looks sort of like a map emblem. I think you're close. I can't really see it on the oh, there you go. Satellite.
Why is it not showing me? Okay, here we go. I know what the problem is. I'm in Antarctica.
Well, you can't tell because when you first come to that site, the first map's broken, but the site still does work.
So this is close to like the view that we have right here. This is what we see, right? And as you can see, the shadow that's being cast completely points 180 degrees back towards the light source. You can see it follow the sun through its course, through its path. Everyone can see. This is what we measure and witness. Basically this exact path. Here comes the ecliptic path is right along this line as well. And the sun traverses through these 6 spaces. Enoch compared them to gates or portals because that was a section in the sky that you could measure, right? Let's zoom in here. Let's really look at this because Jason was bringing this up with Adam. I want to bring it up again too. We can count. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces here. The 6 gates are completely explained without using any Freemason map, without using, it's not even a curved surface. This is a flat plane. This is our circle of sight that everyone sees. And you can go out and check these angles and measurements from where you are. Let's say you're in Toronto, you're closer, your rise and set is somewhere like this. It's a lot lower to the ground. This ecliptic path, this red line, or the sun's path at this time of year. Where's the date and time? Change this. Let's go to its highest point in the summertime right here, right? July 1st. It's at its highest point in the sky, the sun, right? You get longer shadows, you get longer days, and then it goes back down. It does this once a year. It goes down, then comes back. This is how it works. And when we take a snapshot once a month, you see the analemma. It's this figure 8 shape that's here drawn out in dotted lines. If I zoom in, this is your analemma. It's a picture of the sun at its zenith or max point in the day, and it's taken once a month, and then they put them, or you can take them bi-monthly, or there's multiple ways that you can do this, and it forms a picture, right? This is how our reality works. Maybe I should zoom this in a different way. You can't really get that view, but if you're in Toronto and the CN Tower's here, this red building here represents the CN Tower. You're going to look on September 2nd over here with your compass. Does it even have the compass heading? 76, 77, 78 or 79 degrees east. And you're going to see the sun rise right there as it rises. It comes up, and then you can keep measuring it from all these different angles. And this is how it works. This is what we observe. This is reality. This is what we can model. This is how we can see everything, right? Again, you can bring it back down. If you go to the south, all you have is the sky, the dome around you, it tilts the other way, right? So now when you look north, you're gonna have the sun rising on your right. It's gonna come up, it's gonna set on your left. And right here, the fact that the sun is circling down to the left It absolutely destroys the AE mapping model, because the AE mapping model demands, right? This is why Robotham and all these other guys wouldn't go and take any observations of the south. They said it was too vast of an area for us to get to measure the sun's rise and set. We would rather stick to the northern parts of the map, or the inner circles. So when you come back up, okay, wait a minute. It could be circling, right? It's doing its correct thing. It's going around. But the problem is if you change this to December, it's still circling kind of similar, but it's when you drop down to the south side. Now you're spinning right off the map, right? You're going way off. It's circling the wrong way. You know, there's multiple diagrams that we can have to show people. But did you want to add anything to this, Jay?
Well, there's so much to add to it. We're talking about sundials, right? Adam Fink says that you can use a sundial to prove when the equinox is, and using the 3D model that you have right now, we can teach people how to figure out when the equinox is, but it's going to destroy, utterly obliterate the idea that you're on a circling map.
I got it on the what's equal rise almost, but it does absolutely obliterate it. There's no way around it. People can see, and this is what you can measure, and you can look up in the sky, and you can follow the sun's angle through the sky. It all works. Okay.
So measuring the length of those shadows based on the height of the, we'll call them gnomes, right? They're buildings in this 3D animation, but you could put any post up. You could measure the height. You can see how long the shadow is cast, and you can figure out, you can triangulate, if you have 3 locations, the height of the sun. We can also use things like the clouds in our sky that the sun rose through at sunrise to help us figure out the distances. It all depends on the height of the observer, and we'll continue to make this clearer and clearer, but we're probably going to have to do it in additional hangouts because there's just too much information to go through in the couple of hangouts that we've had on the topic.
Yeah. We're just going to keep doing it, keep showing people over and over again how this all works. You can see the 6 gates: first gate, second gate, third gate, fourth gate, fifth gate, sixth gate. And they're inside of what we would call measurable tropics, right? We're not going to go to the Antarctic Circle or the Arctic Circle because that would be off of the sun's path. It never is measured in the sky in those places. It's a lot.
Well, and if you look there, you can actually see in this model the angle of azimuth, as far as if it rose north of east, set north of west, or rose south of east, set south of west. You can see which direction the shadows are being cast. You can clearly see that Earth doesn't have a single polar point. That is our banger that we are never letting go of. Earth does not have a single polar point. It's got 2. We can prove it. Anybody can prove it. It's really simple.
And on the equator, it's like straight up.
Yeah.
That's how we see it all. Everybody needs to know the stars, the sun, the moon, they all travel on this path around this arch or bow, as it's referred to in the scriptures. And it has its 6 gates. 1 year it goes all the way across and all the way back. Boom, 1 year. All the way down, all the way back. Boom, another year. All the way down and all the way back. Boom, another year. That's how this is done. It's really simple. Really, it's not complicated. We don't need to have anything added to it that is not right here.
And I want to thank Benjamin for having clicked on the link and checked it out and seeing that this app, this program actually works really good even on lower end PCs. It's web-based, and it functions super well. This is the algorithm of the path of the sun. Now, I was criticized because we were bashing on Adam for promoting the fake Freemason New World Order AE map and model, and he said he knows that it's not perfectly correct. We said it doesn't matter where you have any of the continents positioned, how large they are, or any of that. The simple fact of having the sun, moon, and stars doing circles overhead is its fault.
And look, where I have it right now, everywhere on the map, the sun rises due east and sets due west. Everywhere. You don't see it changing its position. You see it here, due east and due west. Everywhere on the map.
That's the banger right there.
See there, boom, that's
the banger.
Anywhere on the map.
That's the banger.
You see the little east here?
West.
This east. Over here you have west. All right, let me swing it around here. I'm not too proficient with this model yet. It's usually Jason, but I'm giving it a whirl because I have a bit higher definition on the screen share. Now, why can't I go around? Why are they giving me such a hard time, bro? Well, there we go. Sorry. Again, I'll bring it back to that date again. See where that west symbol is? Watch, I'm going to move the thing around. Look at that. It doesn't move everywhere on the map. It's staying right on that west. The day changed, but it's still everywhere it sets on that day. It sets due east. It sets due west and rises due east. Boom, right there. Boom, it rose due east. Here it comes. It's going to set due west. It's riding along the top of the arch. It's going to come down and boom. You see? And everyone can measure that. This isn't something that we can't measure. So was there one more link? No, I guess that was pretty much it, bro. I don't know if you want to keep going. Thanks everybody for coming tonight. I hope that everybody was able to gain some sort of knowledge or become more lifted up in knowing the truth of how we see our realm and reality. We're going to continue doing this as much as possible. I'm going to try to keep my channel going, get some videos put up, and just keep on,
Yeah, keep on keeping on. I feel reinvigorated by Adam doing what he's done, and feel the need to re-up this information because we had stepped away from non-curved Earth because we had already proven that we weren't on a spinning ball flying through space, and we had already proven that the Freemason New World Order was impossible. And so we explored other topics and stuff like that, but it seems like there's a bunch of new people that haven't caught that information, that it's super essential. And because we have agents that are out there trying to re-up the Freemason New World Order AE map and model, I see the need, the importance of showing the debunks and the stupidity of it again.
Yeah, me too. I think it's thorough. It's important. We're going to continue to do the same thing over and over again. Destroy reality and show you guys what's measurable, repeatable, and observable. And thank you everyone for being here. We should be back Sunday for scriptures and maybe talk about, some of our scriptural understandings and what we really want to share with everybody. I can promise you this, I'm not going to be promoting that everybody is a Torah keeper, even though I don't mind people that want to be like that. Not that I don't mind. I love them for their attempt, but we like to teach people about the salvation through your faith in Yahawahashai for the sacrifice that he gave for us. That's what we try to promote. Bro, you got the last words. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to be in the chat for this end song.
Yeah, no, great material, brother. I love having a bunch of tabs together. I love knowing that we have tons and tons and tons of content to go through. It just makes the process of having to filter what we're going to choose to go through a little bit more difficult. It's easy when you don't have much to go through, but it's this simulation proof is going to be an ongoing, in-depth, deep dive of how we can prove it. And tune in. So this coming Sunday, we should be live 8 p.m. Central. Our target is always Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. Sometimes we go live if there's something special, but we'll see you all soon. Go Team Yahawahashai.
we live forever, let us live forever tonight. Helicopters against the moonlight, our holy mother of the midnight. And if we live forever, let us live forever tonight.
Sorry, but this was a Yahawahashai News Network.